Welcome to Asian American Life. I'm your host, Ernabel Demillo. Today, we are at Korea Society's Finding Dignity, the Art of Hyong Nam-an. This exhibit illustrates the quest for human dignity in present time. We'll take a tour, but first, here's what's ahead on our show. United against hate, Asian Americans speak out. Kyung Yoon shares their stories. Minnie Roh tells the inspirational tale behind the award-winning film, Eagle Huntress. Fertile ground. Is India's foreign surrogacy illegal? Tinabeth Pina has the latest. Rallying cries across the nation. Paul Lin reports on where undocumented immigrants stand with Trump's policy. This and more on Asian American Life. Hyong Nam-an's Finding Dignity integrates movement, sound, and light in his art installations. He finds a way to capture the human spirit in his works.
Hyong Nam-an's art is all about the humanity and the beauty he sees all around him. His artwork is very different from any artist from Korea.
I studied kinetic art long time ago when I was young. The kinetic element was moving light, moving sound. Light kind of gives you third color, third ambience. The title of the show is Fantastic Lonely Heart. I got inspiration from T.S. Eliot's poem. There's so many things going around, but still your heart is lonely.
I'm Kyung Yoon. Asian Americans are among the most vocal allies of Muslim communities in the wake of growing Islamophobia and anti-Muslim policies. This solidarity is deeply rooted in their own memories and experiences of being targeted in America because of their race. A recent march in Battery Park City to protest the executive order banning the entry of 7 Muslim-majority countries and refugees into the U.S. Among the protesters were members of the Asian American advocacy group OCA.
Ethnicity is not a crime, religion is not a crime, race is not a crime.
Scores of Asian American groups are raising their voices in solidarity with the Muslim community. Asian Americans Advancing Justice, the National Korean American Service and Education Consortium, and the Asian American Federation are just some of the organizations that are speaking out to condemn the U.S. government's targeting of groups for exclusion based on race or religion. Mohammad Razvi is the executive director of the Council of People's Organization, or COPO, an agency he founded soon after 9/11 to support South Asian and Muslim communities in the New York area.
What I'm seeing now is similar to what we've seen after 9/11. We're starting to map it out on this map where individuals who are being harassed, discriminated against because they're Muslims.
Next door to Kopo is a mosque that draws hundreds of Muslims for prayers and fellowship. Some of them drop by at Kopo to get help with legal issues and social services.
It's the same American dream that everyone else wants. And that's why they're here. That's why they left their countries, their origin. That's why America exists, because other people also left their country, whether you came yesterday or you came 300 years ago.
Razvi says since the dark days of 9/11, there has been real progress in building trust between law enforcement and the community. For example, these police cars outside the mosque during prayer time are posted to protect community members and allow them to double park while they visit the mosque. But Razvi worries that all the goodwill is being eroded by a cloud of fear and distrust.
We remember what happened to the Japanese, yes, but we don't want it to happen to Muslims.
Suki Terada Ports is a native New Yorker born in Harlem 82 years ago. The Terada family encountered many restrictions in a place like New York City because of their race. But just a week shy of Suki's 8th birthday, Pearl Harbor was bombed and the United States declared war on Japan. And that's when the family of 4 confronted a heightened hostility that was entirely different and terrifying.
the FBI came and asked the neighbors all sorts of really stupid questions. Did my family pull the shades down at night? Did they have shortwave radio? Did they talk Japanese to my sister and me?
Her father had been born in Hawaii and was a U.S. citizen, but her mother had come to America as a child, and U.S. laws had prevented Japanese immigrants like her from applying for naturalization, so she was placed under house arrest during the war.
We should learn from history that it was wrong for us to detain and also to put into concentration camps here in the United States the Japanese Americans that were here. It was wrong for us to close the stores of Japanese Americans here, shut it down, and take them out of here. Fence them in and put them in places as if they were criminals. No, they were American.
Mohammed Razvi says that right after 9/11, hundreds of discrimination forms were collected right here in this predominantly South Asian and Muslim community in Brooklyn. Many of those forms were filled out by children and teenagers who reported being bullied and harassed because of their race or religion. Now, 16 years later, many of them have grown up to be vocal advocates for their community, understanding their rights and responsibility as Americans to speak out against hate. I'm Kyung Yoon for Asian American Life.
I'm Minnie Roh. The documentary, The Eagle Huntress, is the true story of Aishulpan, a 13-year-old Kazakh girl who breaks a 2,000-year-old Mongolian tradition by becoming the first female eagle hunter. She has overcome gender and cultural roles, and in the process, her name has become synonymous with girl power, particularly for Asian American tweens and teens.
Aishulpan's piercing eagle call has captured the imagination and hearts of adventurous children everywhere.
Aishulpan, she's a very strong girl, and she inspires girls around the world. And as an Asian, that makes me feel very proud and good. She inspires me, and I feel like I can do anything I want to do just like her.
Producer Stacy Reese remembers her reaction when she first saw footage of Aishulpan.
I remember sitting and watching the clips from that scene where she goes up the mountain and she's with her father and she's, trying to get her own eagle. And I remember, honestly, leaping off of my chair and saying, I have to be part of this film.
The film follows Aishulpan as she goes about her everyday life as a nomad, going to boarding school during the week, tending her family herd, and spending time with her parents and siblings on the weekend. She seems shy, quiet, and reserved, but when it's time to train, she transforms into a self-assured huntress who knows exactly how to manage a 15-pound golden eagle.
To be a young woman, 13 years old, in that culture and to ask to train her own eagle is, takes a certain amount of conviction and a certain amount of drive. And as shy as she might seem, she's quite confident and she's very competitive. And she likes to win.
Aishulpan burst onto the world stage when pictures of her and her eagle went viral. It caught the attention of first-time filmmaker Otto Bell, who poured his life savings into making this film a reality. We watch as Aishulpan trains to become the first female to compete and win the coveted trophy in the annual Eagle Festival. We see the true breadth of her skills when she brings home her first fox on a hunt that can take up to 8 hours in negative 50-degree weather over treacherous terrain and dangerously deep snow. Her incredible strength in the field makes it that much more charming when the film allows us a peek into her unexpected girly side. Aishulpan was included in this video of stereotype-blasting young girls, further demonstrating her far-reaching appeal. Plus, the increase in strong Asian characters on the big screen, such as Disney's latest heroine, Moana, a Polynesian princess who saves her island from disaster, is encouraging for Asian Americans who are finally seeing more Asians break through gender and racial divides. The Eagle Huntress premiered at Sundance in January 2016 and soared from that point on. Picked up by Sony Classics, it made the rounds at film festivals, and by the end of the year, it was playing in theaters around the world. It was nominated for multiple awards, including a BAFTA, Britain's version of the Academy Awards, a Producers Guild and Directors Guild Award, and shortlisted for an Oscar, but just narrowly missed out on the top 5. Beyond the accolades, the Eagle Huntress has opened doors for Aisho Pan. She traveled to far distant lands she has never seen before and exposed to a world of movie making that few have experienced. It's a lot to take in for a young girl from one of the most remote areas of the world. Yet Reese says Aisho Pan remains grounded, focused on her studies and her dream to become a doctor.
She's very much cares about her world, her family's herd, helping her father, her friends, going ice skating, going to college, like all of this other stuff. I don't think it's really affected her. She doesn't live in a culture where that's something that she's like looking through magazines, seeing herself every day.
We wanted to arrange a Skype interview with this incredible young woman, but our request was denied due to technical limitations, language, and time difference barriers. Instead, we leave you with a clip of Aisho Pan, who has been working hard at her English so she can thank her fans in her own words.
Hi, my name is Aisho Pan. I'm Eagle Huntress. I want to say thank you for watching my documentary. I hope you like it. Thank you for all the letter photo you have sent to me. This year there were 3 girls in Eagle Festival. Please remember girls and do that boys too. Thank you. Goodbye.
The movie was ranked one of the top 100 documentaries of 2016 and has grossed over $3 million worldwide. I'm Minnie Roh for Asian American Life.
2 years ago, I reported on India's booming $1 million surrogacy industry. Then, in a surprising turn of events, in late 2015, India abruptly declared foreign surrogacy illegal, leaving thousands of embryos in limbo and banning Indian women from carrying babies to term for foreigners.
Surrogacy should not stop, because it's something poor women can fall back on. Poor people like us.
As a laborer, I can never think of making the money that I get from surrogacy. It will change my life. I want to tell the government that it's good to have foreign clients, because they pay us well.
These women were paid Indian surrogates who essentially rented out their wombs for infertile couples. After the 2015 ban, surrogacy was no longer an option for them. And if the proposed surrogacy regulation bill is passed by Parliament later this year, the surrogates will have to look for other means of making a living. The 2,000-plus surrogacy clinics will mostly close, and the foreign couples who accounted for 80% of surrogacy births in India will have to go elsewhere to have a child.
India now joins the list of many of such countries which have banned commercial surrogacy. So that means the world over, a consciousness has been created. Nobody across the globe wants to promote this idea. So why should India lag behind? We have to fight it out. It's a menace. It's exploiting our women. It's exploiting our society. So that was the basic idea at heart when we wanted to bring this bill.
I think it feels like not just a big disappointment, but in some ways a betrayal of everybody who is hoping to have a baby in India. And also I think it's heartbreaking for intended parents, people who just desperately want a child, and they feel like they're standing on quicksand because the regulations are always changing.
India has, over the last few years, sort of scaled back the types of families that have been able to pursue surrogacy in India. So it used to be legal for single people or same-sex couples to pursue surrogacy there, and that hasn't been the case for several years now.
India first legalized surrogacy in 2002, and in the years that followed, constantly amended the regulations. Although there was some confusion over those guidelines, infertile couples were never deterred. In fact, according to a World Bank report, the surrogacy industry in India would have reached $2.5 billion by the year 2020 had the ban not been instated.
The surrogates were unlikely that their opinion was asked, and the intended mothers were clearly not asked, the intended parents. So I think that it is a case where people making the laws and changing people's lives are not the people who are benefiting from surrogacy, and I think it's really almost a tragedy.
One of the implications is that we're going to see more countries sort of popping up as new destinations. So we've seen the rise and fall of countries like Thailand and Nepal, and now I'm hearing about people pursuing surrogacy in, say, Cambodia.
The proposed surrogacy bill will only allow heterosexual couples with proven infertility who are Indian citizens and have been legally married for at least 5 years to use a surrogate. That surrogate has to be a close relative who agrees to carry a child for altruistic reasons only, and any violator of the proposed law will get 10 years in jail. Some critics point out that the surrogacy bill will deprive India's most disadvantaged women of an economic opportunity, while others feel that it will protect them from exploitation.
That's the sad thing, that people are so desperate that they're willing to rent out their bodies, for something like this. I mean, given a choice, and if they could make a decent livelihood, I'm sure they wouldn't want, this to be the option by which they earn money.
This was one of the few things that women could do that men could not do, and that they were very generously compensated for. So those women are facing, they have to go back to their old lives where they made no money and had a very hard time providing for their children and providing for themselves.
There are also the infertile couples who have been left helpless from the ban.
We're now facing to fight with the Indian government and the authorities because we have 4 embryos left over, and with the ban of surrogacy, the import and the export ban of embryos is also banned.
The embryos are not owned by India, they're not owned by Great Britain. We're the owners of that, it's our property.
While hundreds of embryos are currently stored in IVF clinics across India, officials at the Indian Council of Medical Research state that all embryo export requests are on standby until a policy decision has been made. Critics note that these stances and the surrogacy bill in general will push the entire industry underground, devoid of any safeguards for everyone involved.
Way to go ahead for the missing gaps is not a ban, because that will create even a worse market, a black market, underground surrogacy where everybody could suffer.
What we need is surrogacy to become safe and fair everywhere that a society supports it. And India's laws were really a very good model. And so I feel like other countries have lost out too by India banning surrogacy. And I'm hopeful that India will make surrogacy legal again, because it is a very good solution to infertility. It's also a good solution for surrogates. And I have to say for the babies too, because they wouldn't be here without it.
We will continue to watch this story as it develops. And for those of you who are still considering the commercial surrogacy route, it is legal in a handful of states here in America, as well as in Russia and the Ukraine. For Asian American Life, I'm Tinabeth Pina.
I'm Paul Lynn. Across the U.S. and here in New York, tens of thousands have been rallying in support of immigrants impacted by President Trump's policies, from the travel ban to building a wall on the Mexican border to the fate of undocumented students.
If you're an immigrant, make some noise!
In Brooklyn, Drum, an organizer of South Asian immigrants, hosted a rally bringing together many groups unified against hate, including the Pan-Asian group RAISE, an advocate for the undocumented youth known as Dreamers. As organizations come together to protest, demonstrations have grown in size.
Just really coming out in numbers, mobilizing our own members and standing together with other large numbers really gives us that hope and really makes us feel stronger. So, coming out publicly like that has really helped fight against everything that's been going on.
More specifically, President Trump's moves to make profound changes in immigration policy and campaign promises to deport some 11 million undocumented immigrants. Of those, 14%, or 1.5 million, are Asian Americans.
Anyone who has entered the United States illegally
is subject to deportation.
Ostensibly, the Trump administration is going after those with criminal convictions, some 2 to 3 million by the president's estimate. But what about the rest? An estimated 4 million are immigrant parents of American children. Several million are working adults with no children or criminal records. And roughly 750,000 are young undocumented immigrants with DACA status. DACA stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. It's President Obama's policy giving young undocumented applicants temporary relief from deportation and a renewable work permit. Since 2012, it's been a partial solution to immigration reform that never passed Congress.
It makes no sense to expel talented young people who, for all intents and purposes, are Americans. They've been raised as Americans, understand themselves to be part of this country.
Recent data quantify how DACA has given dreamers a chance to come out of the shadows, providing access to essential things many may take for granted.
Being undocumented means not being able to have an identity document like a driver's license. And so what we see in the data is that post-DACA, over 90% of individuals are getting driver's licenses or state ID cards for the first time. Now, we may also sort of take for granted the ability to open bank accounts or to have credit cards.
DACA also helps undocumented young immigrants more fully develop their potential. DACA recipients can qualify for financial aid to help pay for otherwise crushing college tuition costs, like Nuriel Ponce, who was able to attend Hunter College, gaining a bachelor's degree in anthropology and a minor in Asian studies. Opening previously shut doors for dreamers pays back huge dividends to the U.S. and its economy.
We're also seeing more and more large purchases being made by DACA recipients. So this means things like cars and even first homes. In my latest survey, we found that a full 12% of DACA recipients purchased their first home.
So great is the contribution of working dreamers to the economy that if they were to be deported immediately, it would remove tens of billions of dollars from the GDP. Over 10 years, that estimate climbs to more than $430 billion. Expand the impact to the broader pool of undocumented immigrants, millions more who are working, and suddenly the estimate jumps to trillions of dollars erased from the nation's economy.
Undocumented immigrants, be they DACA recipients or people who have lived here for most of their lives who are contributing to the economy, they are a core part of our social and economic fabric.
It's no wonder that across the U.S., people have rallied in support of undocumented immigrants, like they did at the nation's airports, which had to bar entry to people from 7 Muslim-majority countries after President Trump's travel ban. Even immigrants with green cards, valid visas, or returning undocumented students with DACA status. NYU law professor Alina Das saw the scene firsthand at JFK.
When I got to the airport, it was chaos. There were family members, children who were waiting for their parents to come, people who were waiting for their friends, for their spouses, who had expected them to be there, but instead were just being told that they might actually be deported.
Professor Das co-directs the Immigrant Rights Clinic at NYU Law, whose clients are immigrants facing deportation and detention. To protect the school's own undocumented students and staff, the clinic created a project called the Immigrant Defense Initiative, providing legal advice and support.
Since that day, there's been an outpouring of support among students, staff, faculty at NYU to protect each other.
Indeed, many other universities nationwide have sought to assure their communities of safety from detention and deportation. Reports suggest that more than 100 have gone so far as to call their campuses sanctuaries, part of a movement to resist the enforcement of federal immigration policies. Will they succeed?
Under every presidency, we've seen immigrants be targeted, be taken away from their homes. But that doesn't mean that universities and other institutions can't play a significant role in making sure that people are not so easily taken from our communities.
Many cities and other localities also seek to support undocumented immigrants, but at the cost of losing federal funding. thanks to President Trump's recent executive order. Whether or not the Trump administration's immigration policies as a whole succeed or fail has yet to be determined, but recent court decisions have, for now, blocked at least one of President Trump's executive orders, the travel ban on Muslim-majority nations, eerily similar to when the U.S. banned Asian immigrants in the 19th and 20th centuries.
Asian exclusion laws are some of the darkest moments of our history, and there is bad case law that has allowed those programs to exist when they did. But we're in a different age, and hopefully we have learned from that history.
While the courts determined the legality of President Trump's immigration policies, people across the country continue to rally for immigrant rights. Though for undocumented immigrants who had been more vocal, it becomes increasingly tricky to protest publicly.
Being public about, your status as an undocumented person can be very hostile. There's a lot of rumors floating around that Reddit internet trolls were going through the hashtag undocumented_unafraid, collecting information of people who were undocumented and were deciding whether or not to send this information to USCIS or ICE. So that created a lot of panic in the community.
For all of us who do not have to fear deportation for speaking out, we just need to be more supportive and to be better allies for those who either have no voice, feel that their voice has been limited by this administration, and also be better allies to those who are putting their bodies on the line and sort of fighting for what they feel is right.
Rallying support for undocumented immigrants. I'm Paul Lin for Asian American Life.
To learn more about our stories, follow us on Facebook at Asian American Life. And be sure to stop by Finding Dignity, the Art of Hyong Nam An, here at the Korea Society in New York. I'm Ernabel Demillo. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.